Yes, we're starting with DC. Our graphic says Marvel, but the heart of this at the beginning is DC. So
look at that.
We got
Let's go.
this week when it was announced that DC's latest iteration of the DC Films franchise will be under DC Studios, their new imprint name, which is being co-headed by James Gunn and his longtime producing partner, Peter Safran. So Gunn is taking over DC Studios. He's effectively becoming the Kevin Feige of DC along with Peter Safran. And people had mixed emotions to this, right? First up, people spazzed out almost immediately from the Snyder brother, and were posting memes of Tobey Maguire throwing the Spider-Man costume in the trash, saying they're done with DC now, and this was as if there's some war between. There's been this perceived war. Okay, so for people who don't know, kind of had two big director-creators influences, which was Zack Snyder, who did Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League, and James Gunn, who did The Suicide Squad and its kind of TV spinoff Peacemaker. Some fans have labeled these as kind of warring factions of the Gunverse and the Snyderverse, and it's been kind of debated like who would be the best kind of architect to kind of take things forward, Zack Snyder or James Gunn. James Gunn got the job, so that meant some Snyder people thought, oh, it's all over for Snyder stuff and we're out of here. I wrote a piece and put myself out there that said, no, James Gunn's appointment is not the death of the Snyderverse. And my whole point is this. If there is one person who's probably the most creator-friendly collaborator to possibly convince somebody like Zack Snyder, who has dealt with unimaginable crap with Warner Brothers and their executives and just trying to get his films made and out the way he made them. If there's one person that could probably work with him and get him back in the fold to do something, it's probably James Gunn, who would take the time, another director of a unique signature, who, even if he makes different films from Snyder, would be more sympathetic to what a director does and creates and could help maybe kind of find good middle ground for what Snyder does and what they need to achieve in under 4 hours as a film studio, So I don't agree with all that. I think that's kind of just specious reasoning to think that just because they picked Gunn, it means all Snyder stuff is gone. Because the Snyderverse has been winning this week. I mean, it's not like the Snyderverse is losing. We still have Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. We still have Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Henry Cavill's coming back as Superman. Right. That's a Snyder thing. We're getting a Man of Steel sequel. Those are all things with Snyder DNA.
But that's not what. Okay, so but your initial premise though of
I put this. Well, don't come from my writing pieces. I am thorough writer. I am not a film talking head. I write things and I do a good job of it. And there are things and I cover my bases. One of the questions I asked is, what does it mean to be Snyderverse? Like, what does that mean?
No, I wasn't saying that.
Okay, what were you going to say?
No, I was saying your initial premise, though, of this group wars with the Gunverse. There's a group. I don't lump every fan of Snyder things in there. There's a small group that wars with everyone. It doesn't matter that it's Gunn. Whoever would have I would have stepped into this role. And they would have literally been against me, and he's throwing it because it doesn't matter unless it's Snyder jumping in that role. They do not care. Everything else is baboo. That's what it is. So that's my issue. I don't even think it was Gunn. I think it was whoever steps into that role.
Yeah,
they see that. But what you were going to launch into is also a very good point.
Yeah. What does it mean to be Snyderverse?
Yes.
Like if we go forward, no matter who, and this is I don't know, guys. This is kind of what those things called comic books do. Yeah. So it doesn't matter, Gunn might take over. Even if Gunn stepped in and directed all the next Justice League and Superman stuff, he's still playing with Snyderverse DNA all throughout this, that they're not jettisoning. We don't have a new Superman. We got Cavill back. So I think we can chill on that point a little bit because I don't think, and I said just as a final point, let's be clear, because I don't know if people's brains always register. Gunn is overseeing things. Right. He's not personally directing everything. So it's not going to all be the Suicide Squad. Yeah. It's going to all be the Suicide Squad. So we can relax on that. And like I said, we're even hearing this Superman Dawn of Hope thing. So it sounds like we're getting Snyderverse stuff tweaked a little bit to be more what some fans were complaining about, which is a happy medium for everybody. Janelle, I feel like you have personal knowledge of all things James Gunn. How are you feeling about this DC appointment?
I mean, I honestly, at this point, we're so desperate for someone to kind of take the Feige role at DC that anyone just needs to happen. Like, we need something. And the fact that it's James Gunn is something that I'm super pumped about. I love James Gunn content. I trust his voice. I trust his knowledge in comic books and all things related to comics. He has tons of experience working with a successful, MCU thing, and he has tons of DC experience as well. So I really don't know who else people could really hope for. I mean, if we were holding up, I know there were murmurs of The Rock taking this role as opposed to James Gunn. I would choose James Gunn 20 times over The Rock just for his simple knowledge in this nerd world. So I don't really understand anyone not loving this. I don't know what people's expectations are. I guess some people just want it to keep sucking. Like, that's what it feels like.
Wow. Wow. Putting it there. Janelle Wheeler putting it down. Do we want it to suck or not? All right.
We need something.
I get, and I agree. And I think people are also, again, like James Gunn is what overseeing means is you're the ringmaster of the tent, but the tent is full of freaks, right? So like The Rock is still could be his own capo boss in this whole thing. Like there's James Gunn, but The Rock is still working on his version, his division of DC movies. Somebody else is working on this Man of Steel thing. Somebody's doing this stuff. And and he's not even necessarily taking all of it. I think the initial report said that Joker is still its own kind of separate thing, not under Gunn. It's unclear, unless they've tweaked this in the last day or so, I think it's unclear whether the Batman franchise is under him or not. So it's still kind of its own thing. So they're still playing it. I think he's just going to be, as Janelle said, the guy who's going to help us get a linked universe. And he was one of the major reasons in our now chump-making segment, will DC or Marvel have the better year in 2022? One of the main things we said was, what James Gunn did with the Suicide Squad and then spinning that off into Peacemaker, and a successful hit TV show that fully was like one of the most full adaptations of an actual movie kind of becoming a TV show without any downgrading or anything, was the key that we thought was going to make DC a more coherent universe. And so I think that the people at Warner Brothers probably listened to Comic Book Nation, heard all that, and took our idea and were like, that's a great idea. Let's run with that. But in all seriousness, and so I think that's his main job, right? Pull this together and make it a franchise. And I think he can do that. So.
Well, and like Janelle said, I think this dual hire, this dual role is one of those that's kind of a win-win for everybody. So I don't necessarily, even the people who don't necessarily love like James Gunn's take on things, the Safran of it all brings such a, like, one of the things we've talked about and one of the reasons why that video has not aged so well, and I feel like we should just re-record it every year. One of these years we'll get it right. So like 2023 we'll have another one. We'll just bet on one of these things will happen. But like, one of the things is mismanagement and disorganization and one hand not talking to the other, and budgets, movies having to be written off when a new organization comes in because the debt is so high. Like, those things have also played a role in the chaos. So having someone who is able to kind of deftly maneuver in those waters, and Safran, with someone who brings that kind of, Kevin Feige, Kevin Smith kind of enthusiasm for comics and what they can be. I mean, look, the Suicide Squad is as comic a movie as you get. The movie had Starro. Like, I love that, so if I trust someone to kind of take that, I mean, all the fan things of what do we want to see under a Gunn kind of regime at DC, like who do we want to see? Like Justice League Dark. Yes, I know I already threw out the Detective Chimp thing, and I got some support, by the way. I even got a hashtag. But I will say, like, that the humor that you can find in something like that, Gunn is willing to go to some dark places. Like, there's just so much this opens up, even if he's not directing, even if he's just overseeing. You put the right people in place, right?
Bad Coyote in the chat is saying, I wonder if they will ever release Batgirl movie. And I feel like that's a great question. I'm curious what you guys think.
Oh
no,
yeah, I don't think so.
I think that's
forever gone.
I think it's forever gone only because
there's so much legalities. If they
Mhm.
that out, if they do anything, they've got to pay so much money.
Yeah.
So they've got to think like the X and the Y will never probably work.
And the WB leadership that is on its way out didn't want the Batgirl movie not to release. It was Zaslav. It's the new kind of trying to get the budgets in line and debt in line stuff of this new leadership. They aren't going anywhere, right? So this is all happening under them. So that's not changing. So I don't see, unfortunately, I don't see Batgirl changing. I don't see that changing. So that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just simple math. Like, because of the nature of the deal of the tax write-off for Batgirl, if they ever promote it, bring it out, show even like a frame for it, I think, like they automatically, that tax write-off goes away and they owe that money back. So unless they think Batgirl's going to make $1 billion, I don't see them ever dusting that off. But
what do you guys think this means for like Titans and like Doom Patrol, stuff like that? That's kind of successful.
I think that there's a lot of this that's probably going to be decided. I think Gunn is taking this job at a point where a lot of this is decided. I wrote about that too. I think The Flash is a big reset. His job is effectively going to start making stuff after The Flash. So I think anything we think about that before The Flash doesn't really matter because they already have a plan in place for that.
Yeah.
And whatever they're doing for that is going to basically kind of give us a soft reset for him to come in and then build on. So I don't know what that means for Titans or the HBO Max series. I think Titans is doing okay and get more popular. I don't know if Doom Patrol will last because it's got that Netflix thing. Like, you can only binge so many seasons before you begin to run out of steam. So we'll see. But we got to take a break in a minute. But final thoughts. If you guys can each pick your dream project right now under James Gunn, give me your elevator pitch for what it is. Matt, go.
Oh, Justice League Dark, man. Yeah, I think.
You have a director.
Director, yes. I would love to see that team. Constantine is on that team. You can't tell me a Gunn Constantine wouldn't absolutely rule like that.
So you want Gunn himself, Justice League Dark?
Look, if you're saying that's the pitch to like have him do it, yes.
No, I'm saying anything under that he would greenlight.
And even if he greenlit and didn't direct it, he will put the right person in place to direct that. I would love to see that.
Janelle.
I would love to, I guess this isn't like a specific project, but I would just really like to see the introduction of a Harley and Ivy live action relationship.
Ooh.
Okay.
In something.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. No, I mean, that's
a
good one. Harley. I think the Harley Quinn series we can safe to say is safe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sirens, Brywood. Yeah, that's a good
Gotham City Sirens would be a good one.
Yeah.
And then was brought up as a follow-up to Birds of Prey. We should know that Journey Smollett hasn't really letting fans' hopes die for a Black Canary. That Black Canary is going to continue. So that might fit into the plans. If
you're pulling a Cavill like a year from now.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I'm back.
But that was always in the plans originally a long time ago. It was supposed to go Birds of Prey, then a Gotham City Sirens movie, and then like Birds versus Sirens movie.
That's because that's where Batgirl was originally going to.
And that sounded dope to me, so I'm for that.
I like that idea.
I still want my Question TV series. I would love to see Gunn,
Which one?
That's what I was thinking about. I'd like to see them both. I'd like to see it be a multi kind of, detective story where it's the Vic Sage, the end of Vic Sage. Something happened to Vic Sage. Renee Montoya's taken up the mantle and has been, is new in the role. And it's a mystery that extends over both their times as the Question, and it leads to something bigger in the DC universe.
Hell yeah.
And you use that little tiny series to flesh out like so much Batman stuff, because we need a new Batman for this and a good Batman lore. And then it leads to some big conspiracy in the DCEU that
I like that
story. So boom, use something small, go in small, and kind of She-Hulk this thing. But instead of doing comedy, we do a full kind of neo-noir detective story.
He directing it, or he's just getting someone?
I would like to see him directed. I know he's busy, so I'd be cool with him getting somebody.
I mean, he's supremely busy. We've given him 3 movies.
Maybe Terrence Winter. Terrence Winter didn't do the Penguin series. He didn't end up doing the Penguin series, so maybe Terrence Winter from Boardwalk Empire or something like that would be great for just a detective, like hard gumshoe noir thing but set in the DCU.
I like that, man.
In the Question, figuring out some crazy stuff that's happening behind the scenes and uncovering some big plot.
2 quick notes from the comments. One, I do love the Ryan Reflects brings up the Marvel Studios special presentation format. I would like DC to bring in something like that for these kind of one-off things, I think that's perfect for their Elseworlds.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Vision anyway.
That'd be really cool.
And then 2, I found the other metal fans. Yes, thank you, Max von Strucker and Brywood. I'm always getting shouted down on metal here, and it's nice to see some support.
Wait, you guys want?
Yeah, baby.
The
Damn
metal.
metal.
All right.
Love it.